Breaking Down the Wall, Miscommunication and Effective Communication in Education by Alison Currie. I am sure that we all in our educational careers have experienced this kind of teaching. Have you ever had an instructor speak at you like the first image, and has your mind wandered to anything but the topic being discussed? I know I definitely have. Or in the second image, have you ever been forced to learn by an iron hand and experienced threats of not passing a test if you did not learn? According to boasting, effective teaching is not teaching to the test and simply hoping students advance to the next grade. Unfortunately, according to the article, The Trouble with High School, emphasizing the mastery of testable content trivialized by teaching materials by rote is still prevalent in the schooling system. While learning more about the sad reality that occurs in many schools, I could not help but connect this problem with what I have learned in my English, language, rhetoric, and culture class. More specifically, an article that we focused on during the semester stood out to me, connecting with these communication problems amongst teacher and student. The article is titled, Introduction, The Problem of Communication by Peters. I recommend you all read it. When thinking of this subject matter, I could not help but wonder, what would Peters say about this problem with communication in the educational system? What intrigued me most about Peters' article and what I will be focusing on in this presentation is his inclusion of the terms telepathy and Solipism. Peters states that the difficulty of communication across various social boundaries, gender, class, race, age, religion, nation, and language, confronts us daily. These complications would obviously affect teacher and student interactions as well. In the article, these problems with communication are compared to walls, telepathy being the less foreboding of the two. It is sad to think that many students go to school and feel this isolation through miscommunication. The question many pre-service teachers like myself may ask is, how do I break down this wall and connect to my students? Definitely not this way. As you can see in this reenactment of teaching, the teacher is simply reading off her book with no eye contact or connection with the student. The model student here seems completely lost and disengaged. How could the teacher improve her method to break down the wall of miscommunication? Sometimes teachers are so overwhelmed with getting through the material with time restraints that they do not realize that they are isolating and disengaging their students. Us teachers should, like Peters, want to fight against the attitudes of longing for shared interiority, the horror of inaccessibility, and impatience with the humble means of language in regards to communication in the classroom. How do we do this, though? There are many ways to do this, but for time purposes, I will detail one crucial way to break down the communication problem. Through the inclusion of visual aids seen in the pictures, the student, when the teacher was simply reading out works of Shakespeare from the book, was completely disconnected because she did not have any context to rely on. Now seen here, the teacher includes an image of London to trigger the student's prior knowledge and to use a different means of communication, besides simply auditory learning, which not all students learn best with. Linda Cooper, in her article Supporting Visual Literacy in the School Library Media Center, states that much of schooling depends on textual literacy. Yet every day, throughout the world, we encounter visual information, and children are natural visual learners. They have been absorbing information visually since birth. With these facts, why wouldn't we, as teachers, include some sort of visual learning with each lesson? As Peter states in his article, we all view the world differently because we have all different experiences. By accepting this and paying attention to this fact, we can identify ways to learn from one another and connect. The teacher has to realize that the student may experience a different reality than they do and view images differently. Therefore, students will need scaffolded teaching to interpret images beyond their physical environment. In conclusion, although the wall of telepathy and Solipism can be a frightening reality in many educational settings, there is hope. By thinking creatively as a teacher and finding different means to connect with one's students, the problem of miscommunication can be lessened or even cured.